Hello, friends. Let's talk about covenant. In Hebrew, the phrase making a covenant is karat berith, literally to cut a covenant. The language reflects the ritual act described in Genesis 15:9 through 18, where animals were cut in two pieces. Their pieces laid opposite one another, and they walked right through the middle. In the ancient Near East, this was common in Suzerain-Vassal treaties between a greater power and a lesser power. Both parties would pass between the divided animals, declaring, "May what happened to these animals happen to me if I break this covenant." This was no casual handshake. It was a life and death oath, blood ratified in covenant, underscoring the seriousness of faithfulness. In Genesis 15:12, Abraham falls into a deep sleep. Tardemah, the same word used when God caused Adam to sleep in Genesis 2:21. This emphasizes that Abram contributes nothing. He's passive, helpless. He's out. The covenant rests on God alone. Then in Genesis 15:17, God appears as a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch, passing between the pieces. This imagery resonates later at Mount Sinai, where God descends in a fire in Exodus 19:18. In both cases, God reveals himself as a consuming fire. Deuteronomy 4:24, Hebrews 12:29. The fire both purifies and it judges. It reveals God's holiness and his irrevocable commitment. By walking alone, God swore the covenant upon himself. He knew we could not keep it. He bound himself to fulfill his promises to Abram, even if it meant bearing the curse of the covenant breaking himself. In a typical treaty, the greater king Suzerain guaranteed to protection if the lesser king, the vassal, remained loyal. But in Genesis 15, God, the suzerain, takes both sides of the oath. Abram does not walk the pieces, only God does. This means that the covenant's success depends not upon Abram's faithfulness, but upon God's alone. This is unilateral act shows the grace of God not only in covenant itself, but in its fulfillment. Now fast forward to the cross. Humanity, like Abraham, is powerless, asleep in sin, Ephesians 2:1. We could never keep the covenant faithfulness with God. As Isaiah 53 declares, we are like sheep having gone astray. The covenant curses should fall on us. But in Christ, God himself incarnate bears the covenant penalty. Jesus' body is broken like the animals cut in Genesis 15. His blood is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins, as it says in Matthew 26:28. The tearing of his flesh on the cross echoes the torn pieces. At Calvary, God the Son walked the covenant curse on behalf of all humanity. Thus, just as God alone walked between the pieces in Abram's vision, Jesus alone bore the weight of the broken covenant. He satisfied the holiness of the consuming fire while extending mercy to the covenant breakers. At Sinai, fire inspired fear, and the people trembled at God's holiness. But at Pentecost in Acts 2, the fire appears again, this time as tongues resting upon each believer's head. Through Christ's sacrifice, that same fire once judged us, now indwells us, empowers us, and sanctifies us. That covenant curse has been born, and the covenant blessing, God's Spirit, is poured out.